The laughter was sharp, echoing off the restaurant's brick walls. It wasn't the kind that warms you. It was jagged, loud, and cruel. I looked across the table at my wife, Ava, her eyes glinting under the low amber light as she sipped her wine. She was mid-laugh, my wife laughing at us, surrounded by our friends like it was a performance. I mean, honestly, she said, her voice lilting with amusement, if I could go back, I'd probably make a different choice. Marriage at 25? What was I thinking? The words landed like a physical blow. The chatter around the table faded into a low hum, my vision tunneling until all I could see was her, smiling, tossing her hair, pretending not to notice the silence that followed. She looked at me then, maybe expecting me to play along like always, to defuse the awkwardness with a joke. That was my role, wasn't it? The husband who took the hits for harmony's sake. But this time I didn't smile. Her eyes flickered for a split second, just enough for me to see the shift, surprise, then irritation. She covered it quickly, taking another sip of wine as our friends forced uneasy laughter, changing the subject to the menu, the weather, anything but the wreckage between us. Inside, I felt something split. The drive home was silent. The streetlights carved gold streaks across her face as she looked out the window, her profile distant, unreadable. I gripped the steering wheel, my mind running through the night on repeat. The laughter. The glance she shared with Liam, her coworker, the one she'd started mentioning just a little too often. The way her hand brushed his arm when she joked. I had noticed it all, dismissed it, told myself not to be jealous, not to become that husband. But tonight, she hadn't just embarrassed me. She had humiliated what we built. When we got home, she walked straight to the kitchen, kicking off her heels, opening another bottle of wine. I was joking, she said flatly. You really need to stop taking everything so seriously. I didn't answer. I watched her pour a glass, watched the way her hand trembled just slightly. Maybe guilt, maybe anger, it didn't matter. Do you really regret it? I asked finally, my voice low. She looked up, startled, then sighed. Don't do this now. We were having fun. You're overreacting. Do you regret marrying me? I repeated. Her silence stretched too long. When she finally spoke, it was quiet, almost tired. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I do. The world seemed to slow around me. The hum of the refrigerator, the ticking clock, her breathing. They all pressed in until I could barely hear myself think. I wanted to ask why. I wanted to demand when everything changed. But instead I said nothing. Because deep down I already knew. I barely slept that night. She turned away from me in bed, the scent of her shampoo mingling with the faint tang of wine. I stared at the ceiling, my mind replaying every conversation, every moment I'd brushed off the warning signs. The late nights, the sudden secrecy with her phone, the way she smiled when a notification lit her screen. By morning, I had decided to find out the truth. While she showered, I opened her laptop. My hand shook as I typed her password, half hoping I'd be wrong, half praying I wouldn't find anything at all. But I did. A thread of messages, each one sharper than the last. Her and Liam. Private jokes about me. Flirty banter that turned into confessions. He never gets me the way you do. I wish I'd met you first. And the one that broke me completely. Sometimes I look at him and feel nothing. My throat tightened. My chest burned. Every word felt like glass under my skin. She walked in moments later, towel wrapped around her, hair damp. She saw the laptop open and froze. Ethan. Don't, I said, my voice raw. Don't say anything. Her eyes darted to the screen, then back to me. You went through my messages? You mocked me in front of everyone, I said. You told another man you regret marrying me. You think I don't have the right to know why. She hesitated, then straightened her shoulders, her voice trembling but defiant. It wasn't supposed to happen. Liam and I. Stop, I said. Don't try to make this sound like an accident. Her eyes glistened. You stopped seeing me, Ethan. You stopped hearing me. I felt invisible and he made me feel alive again. Her words cut deeper than any admission could. Because part of me understood. I'd been working late, distant, trying to build a future while she slipped away in the present. But that didn't excuse it. I took a deep breath, steadying the storm in my chest. You should pack a bag, I said quietly. She stared at me. You're ending it? Just like that. I met her gaze, my voice steady now. You ended it when you mocked our marriage. When you looked at me and saw regret. For a long moment she just stood there, barefoot, silent, trembling. Then she turned, walked to the bedroom and closed the door. The sound of the zipper from her suitcase was faint but final. By evening she was gone. The house was too quiet, the kind of silence that seeps into your bones. I sat on the couch, her half-empty wine glass still on the table, her perfume still hanging in the air. I thought I'd feel angry. I thought I'd feel relieved. But what I felt was emptiness, vast, heavy, endless. Maybe that's what betrayal really is. Not fire or fury. Just the slow unraveling of everything you thought was real. I picked up her glass and looked at the faint lipstick stain on the rim. For a moment I almost smiled. The woman I loved had become a stranger, and maybe in some ways I had too. I stood, poured the wine down the sink and whispered, "Goodbye, Ava." And as the red liquid spiraled away, I realized something I hadn't before. Sometimes ending it on the spot isn't about punishment. It's about mercy. Finally freeing yourself from the echo of someone who stopped loving you long before you noticed.